the Whole Person Care webinar series on muscle recovery and sports performance optimization. I'm Dr. Natasha Montpellier. I'm a naturopathic doctor and a medical science liaison at Fullscript, and I'm thrilled to close out this series with this session's topic, Streamlining Whole Person Care, Clinical Tools for Muscle Recovery and Performance Optimization. Now, before we dive in, let's just briefly recap what we've covered so far in this webinar series. So in the first session, Dr. Michael Chapman, Genova's Director of Product Innovation, explored the vital role of the metabolome in optimizing sports performance and unlocking peak physical potential. The second session, led by Dr. Brian Pendergast, National Sales Trainer at Designs for Health, focused on a naturally occurring plant-based peptide, which has been shown to support muscle gain, reduce muscle atrophy, and also modulate inflammation, just to name a few of those benefits. Now, if you missed either of those sessions, don't worry, you can catch the recordings in a few days at fullscript.com/webinars. Now, in this last session, we'll explore practical tools to help streamline whole person care, providing you with actionable strategies to support your patient's muscle recovery and sports performance. So before we begin, just a few quick housekeeping notes. So please submit any questions in the chat, and I'm going to try to answer as many as possible after the presentation. This webinar is being recorded, and the recording will be sent to all attendees and registrants via email. And again, you'll be able to access it at fullscript.com/webinars in a couple of days. A copy of the presentation is also available for download in the files section, so it's just next to the chat on the right-hand side of your screen. If you're having a hard time reading the details on the screen, please download the file and it'll be much easier for you to follow along. Now, here's a quick reminder that this presentation is intended solely for the education of healthcare providers, and it's not meant to provide medical or professional advice. So let's dive into whole person care, exercise performance, and body composition support protocol or template. We use those terms interchangeably. However, you're going to see template is the word that we use in your accounts in the app. But first, let's start with what are templates and protocols. So think of them as practical, evidence-based guides designed to make your job easier. They're created by Fullscript's medical advisory team, and they offer recommendations on labs, supplements, and lifestyle strategies all in one place. But they're not one size fits all. Rather, they're a flexible starting point that you can personalize based on each patient's unique needs and health goals. So whether you're supporting muscle health or sports performance, or perhaps both, these templates take a whole person care approach to helping treat the individual and not just their symptoms. So by using these tools, you can design care plans that go beyond addressing symptoms and supporting overall well-being. Now, we're going to start with labs. So if you attended the first session presented by Dr. Chapman, you're already familiar with this test and how it can support muscle recovery and sports performance, but I'm just going to quickly summarize some of the key takeaways. So the Metabolomics Plus test helps to uncover nutritional gaps by analyzing key biomarkers, revealing deficiencies in antioxidants, B vitamins, and even minerals. Addressing these imbalances can play a critical role in reducing fatigue, calming inflammation, and also supporting mitochondrial function, which, as we all know, is essential for optimizing muscle health and also recovery. Now that we covered labs, let's move on to some evidence-based ingredients that can also have an impact on muscle recovery and sports performance. Now, Dr. Pendergast covered in detail the benefits of PeptiStrong, which is a plant-based peptide. Now, I'm just going to briefly recap some of the benefits here. So it's been shown to help with strength, recovery, reduce fatigue, and also enhance muscle protein synthesis and regeneration. But again, if you want more details on that, definitely look at the recording for the second session. Now, let's look at some additional evidence-based ingredients that we can also utilize with our athlete patients and also just our patients looking to optimize muscle health. So we have beta-hydroxybeta-methylbutyrate, so HMB. So this has been shown to help increase muscle mass among untrained and also elderly subjects, and also decrease fat mass in trained athletes. Now, Dr. Pendergast mentioned in his presentation that PeptiStrong and HMB have actually been shown to have a synergistic effect. So that's a good combination to consider for some of your patients. We also have creatine monohydrate. Personally, I think this is probably one of the most popular dietary supplements seen by our athletes, along probably whey protein being number one. But creatine has been shown to help increase strength and also body mass. Whey protein may help reduce body weight, fat mass, and also increase lean mass. Now, something that's probably not considered as often is omega-3 fatty acids. So omega-3s can help improve nitric oxide production, reduce vascular resistance, increase cardiac stroke volume, and increase cardiac output, which can result in increased oxygen delivery during exercise and also increase VO2 max. It can also help improve reaction time and mood, and can also decrease post-exercise muscle soreness and improve range of motion. So let's dive into some lifestyle recommendations that can help support muscle recovery and sports performance. We're going to start with nutrition on this slide, and then I have some information on sleep and mindfulness-based interventions on the following slide. So let's talk about our macros. So carbohydrates to start. The Institute of Medicine recommends 130 grams per day for a sedentary individual. So carbohydrate intake should really be adjusted based on an athlete or a person's activity level. And on the slide, you can see some common carbohydrate targets based on activity level. And we're going to come back to some of these recommendations as we're going to be doing a case at the end. Now, our next macro, protein. So athletes require more protein than the general population. The daily recommendation ranges anywhere between 1.4 to 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day. Fat is also another consideration. So athletes are generally advised to maintain 20 to 35% of their daily caloric intake from fat, with less than 10% from saturated fats. We want higher amounts of polyunsaturated and essential fatty acids to support overall health and also performance. Now, it's also important that our patients prioritize their hydration. So individuals can lose up to 51 ounces or 1.5 liters of fluid before they even realize that they are thirsty. And as a result, thirst may not be a great initial gauge to signal to us when we should be actually taking in some fluids. So instead, athletes should generally proactively consume about 6 to 12 ounces, and that's around 177 to 355 milliliters, so just a little bit over a cup of water every 15 to 30 minutes during exercise. And the last thing that we'll touch on in regards to nutrition is calories. Now, caloric requirements vary a lot based on individual factors such as body weight, height, age, and activity level. Here in the slide, we have formulas to help you and your patients calculate their resting metabolic rate, and then you can take that to calculate their total daily energy expenditure. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time on these formulas. We're going to talk a little bit about those, or we're going to integrate those formulas in our case later on. But since we're on the topic of calories and muscle health, I did want to share that we shared a study in our February educational newsletter called The Script, a study that found that consuming more ultra-processed foods is linked to increased intramuscular thigh fat, independent of calories or activity. Now, this study was looking at the link between ultra-processed food, intramuscular thigh fat, and the risk of knee osteoarthritis. However, I think it's worth educating our patients that physical fitness is more than just calories in, calories out, that the nutrient density of our foods, or lack thereof, can influence a long-term muscle composition and overall health. So just kind of some food for thought. Okay, so let's finish up the lifestyle recommendation with sleep and mindfulness-based intervention. So most people know they should be getting about 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night, even if they don't necessarily always follow those recommendations. Athletes, however, should aim for 9 to 10 hours of sleep to optimize their recovery and performance. And again, this is where when we want to use a personalized approach, if they feel very sluggish with 10 hours of sleep, then maybe they're more going to feel better and have better recovery at 9, and like 10 maybe because they've overslept. And lastly, building mental resilience with techniques like mindfulness, acceptance, commitment, so MAC training, can also help athletes stay focused, manage competition pressure, can help keep their anxiety in check, plus it can boost emotional regulation, lower stress hormone like cortisol, and also speed up recovery, all factors that can help or impact performance. And of course, I think we're all aware that mindfulness-based strategies can have, impacts beyond just sports performance, but this is just something to consider for some of our athlete patients. And by athlete, I don't necessarily mean always professional, but those that engage in a lot of physical activity. Okay, so now we're going to review a case. I'm going to walk you through a patient's case, and we're going to use the template we just covered as a starting point to build our patient's plan. So this is John. He's a 40-year-old seasoned endurance athlete with over a decade of experience competing in Ironman triathlons. So recently he's noticed prolonged recovery times, increased fatigue, persistent muscle soreness after training, some decrease in his muscle mass, and also some joint pain, especially in his knees. So he's concerned about maintaining peak performance. He's also interested in exploring the role of nutrition, lifestyle, supplements, and of course, advanced testing to personalize his approach to muscle recovery and just overall health. So just a little bit about his lifestyle. John wakes up at 5 a.m., 6 days per week for his 2-hour morning workout. But he also stays up late, typically going to bed between 11 and 12 because he likes to unwind in the evening and watch some TV. He's also cycling through the ketogenic diet. So he goes on and off. He'll go 3 months on, 1 month off. He feels generally great on keto, but it's hard to maintain. And that's why he kind of goes off. And he also coordinates that with his training and his competitions. But generally, he tries to keep his carbohydrates on the lower end so that he can stay leaner and not have any weight gain. Now, he does track his diet with a dietary tracker, and that tracker has revealed that protein-wise, he's taking in about 72 grams of protein per day. So that's about 1 gram of protein per kilogram of body weight. So he is under the ideal range of 1.4 to 2 kilograms. So that's something that we're going to want to recommend in our treatment plan. In regards to his carbohydrates, no surprise, he's consuming less than the ideal. He's consuming about 288 grams per day. That's about 4 grams per kilogram of body weight. And ideally, since he is working out 2 hours per day, he should be targeting about 6 to 10 grams per kilogram of body weight. No issues with his fats because he's generally keto. So he's reaching that 30% of total intake from fat. His total daily calories are about 2,400. And when we calculated his resting metabolic rate and then his total daily expenditure, he's expending about 3,300 in regards to his calories. So his caloric intake is significantly lower than his total daily expenditure. So that could be influencing his energy levels, recovery, and overall performance. And his only supplement that he's taking is a protein powder. So we're going to navigate into the app or into the platform, and we're going to go to on the left-hand side, plans, and then you'll see that under plans, you have a section called templates, and that's what we're going to click on to access our templates or protocols. And you can use the search bar at the very top and write in some keywords to find the template. I usually like to filter down to made by Fullscript, so I know that it is the original template and not necessarily a template that I've created. So you can use a combination of those things. So we're going to select the whole person care, exercise performance, and body composition protocol as our starting point. So when you click open the template, this is, we're going to have a few screenshots because it's fairly long. So you'll see at the very top, we're toggled to the preview mode. So here you'll see the lab test markers, and you'll also see on the next slide the products that coordinate or go with the ingredients. So given John's persistent fatigue, his prolonged recovery, his history of restrictive dieting, because ketogenic can be very restrictive, he has a high training volume, and there's a possible micronutrient imbalances, again, due to the low carbohydrate intake and the ketogenic diet. I'm actually going to recommend that we do the metabolomics test, especially because I'm interested in looking at his oxidative stress and his mitochondrial function. Excuse me. And also get a view of his inflammation levels. So this is the further down on the preview mode. You'll see the products that are associated with the ingredients of the template. And this is just to make it easier for when you apply the template. You don't necessarily have to go searching for products that match the evidence-based ingredient. Excuse me. So here, what we're going to do, we're going to customize the template for John. He's already taking a protein powder, so I'm actually going to remove that from his treatment plan. And since I don't want to influence the results of the metabolomics test, I'm going to remove the fish oil and the Pepi Strong. Now, we've discussed how both of these ingredients can reduce inflammation, which is going to be very helpful for John's recovery and his joint pain, but I want to see his baseline. So I'm gonna keep those 2 dietary supplements for after we have his results. And taking this stage approach is really gonna help also with John's treatment adherence. So for now, we're gonna recommend the HMB and the creatine as part of the supplements for his treatment plan, along with the lab test. Now, this is just a quick visualization. When you toggle over to the evidence tab, you're going to see a description of the lab as well as all the evidence for each of the ingredients. And for each of those claims, you'll also see the studies associated with that. So if you want to learn more about that protocol, you'll have a deep dive on that evidence tab. Now, just moving on to lifestyle recommendations, we're going to make all those dietary recommendations that I mentioned earlier. We're going to increase his protein and his carbs as well, and his overall calorie intake. I'm also going to recommend that John works with a nutritionist or a dietitian if he needs more support into how to really reach these dietary goals. And again, just reinforcing that this is for his recovery. I know there could be some worries there for John in regards to gaining or being not lean enough. So I think just reinforcing that is for his recovery, injury prevention, and also potentially having that additional support with a dietitian or a nutritionist so that he can implement these more easily. I'm also going to suggest that he starts gradually going to bed a bit earlier, again, reinforcing the importance for his muscle recovery and his performance. Now, to support all of these lifestyle recommendations, attached to this protocol, we have some patient resources. So these resources are created by our medical advisory team. They're very beautifully designed, as you can see. And this is really going to help with John's behavioral change and also health literacy. So for him, I'm going to specifically recommend the pre and post exercise nutrition and also the 7 lifestyle tips for better sleep. However, the mindfulness and the weekly hydration tracker can also be something that we use later on. And this is where I'm just going to wrap up my presentation. We also have resources for you, the provider. So we have this beautiful guide on sports supplementation. So a lot of the information regarding like all the macros comes from this guide. And we have a lot of information also on supplements. It's a really comprehensive guide. So it's not necessarily something to help support you during a clinical visit. But if you're looking for additional information, if you want to dig a bit deeper into sports medicine, this could be a really great resource for you to read through on your off time. Okay, so if you're looking for information on our protocols, our templates, we do have some information on fullscript.com/protocols. And this is where I'm going to finish off and look at some of the questions that have been asked. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen. Excellent. And I'm just going to go look at some of the questions. Okay, so if you do have any questions, please feel free. If you have any questions about the template, any questions about the protocol itself, or even Fullscript platform. And if not, then I will give you back some time as well. Just give it like... Okay, where's the sports medicine guide? So the best place to get the sports medicine guide is probably, and we could probably include this in the follow-up email, but if you download the slide deck that accompanies this presentation, there's we hyperlinked that guide, so you can access it right there. Okay, I'm just looking. Okay, where are the protocols? So if you are in your platform right now, you'll want to navigate to the left-hand side and you'll see a section. Maybe I can reshare my screen actually. One moment. It's probably best for some visualization here if I show you share your screen. I'm just going to go back. There we go. So you should see that. Oh, maybe full screen. So yeah, that's not big enough. I can see. Okay. Oops. There we go. So you're going to want to navigate to the left-hand side, and you're going to see this plans section. And then if you click on the plans, you'll see the templates, and so all the protocols that Fullscript has created, you should be able to see them in that drop down, or not in the drop, but when you click into that. And I think we probably have enough time for one more question. Let's see here. So that's a really great question in regards to having French version of some of these resources. We do have, I believe, some resources that are available in Spanish, but that is something that if you want us to create resources for patients in different languages, definitely let us know. The more demand we have for different, whether it's a topic or a language, that gives us a little bit more reassurance that we know that we're developing the right content. So definitely let us know if you want patient content in different languages. And I think that is everything we have for today. Let me just stop sharing my screen. So just thank you again for participating in the webinar. We're really grateful to have you all here. And again, these recordings are going to be available. They're going to be sent to you via email in a few days, as well as they'll be available at fullscript.com/webinars. Thank you so much and have a wonderful rest of your day.